is weird.
From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird, this is the Witching Hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever or whenever you're listening to this program. I am Frosty, and joining me, as always, is the Medium Jenny Lee. Medium Jenny Lee, you want to get weird tonight?
If you insist.
If we insist. Always on the Witching Hours. We're always ready to get weird.
It's
And we're
always
ready
weird,
to get
yes.
weird with you tonight. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's another Monday night, and we are live with the Witching Hours. It's been a busy week. We were just talking about this. We were at Cabin Con this weekend. We were at the cabin on 360.
360, yeah.
We had a great time. Jenny did a live session there, doing a channeling, kind of talking about channeling, and then doing a channeling at the rancher house there at the cabin.
It was pretty wild.
It was interesting, and we got to do a. We also got to do a panel that took place that we did too on like the ethics of paranormal investigation.
You got to moderate it, and it was very fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was great. And so we were able to do that. We have some other stuff coming up this weekend, which we'll talk about in a little bit instead of bringing up now. We got some other things going on this weekend that we're going to talk about.
Yes.
And we have a lot of things coming up. Next month, we have Team Weird Takeover approaching quickly. We're almost, I guess we're about 9 days away from it being a month, exactly a month until Team Weird Takeover and the Lord Baltimore Hotel in Baltimore, Maryland. So lots of fun things coming up around the corner. Last night, if you didn't catch it, we were on a podcast with Irene Keloise and Danica McCann.
New Era Paranormal, yes.
Yeah, and you can find that on YouTube. I'll put a link to that in the description below this video as well. So if you haven't seen it, you can go check that out. We were joined by our very own Priestess of Wonderland and kind of talking about what was coming up with Team Weird Takeover, but also kind of delving into like some crystals, talk about crystals and talk about with Allison moon phases and astrology. And we got into all kinds of stuff last night, some UFO stuff. So yeah, it was interesting.
It was a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was a fun time. All right, Jenny. Well, let's see. We ready to get into some news?
Of course.
Well, first, I just want to say, for those who are watching, The Witching Hours is on the Spirit Realm Network. You can now find and watch this program and others on the Spirit Realm Networks using a Roku app. It is always helpful wherever you're listening to us. If you leave a review, a thumbs up, or whatever you can do wherever you're watching us, it helps other people find us, watch, and grow our Team Weird. And with that, let's go ahead and get into the news. All right. So story number one for the weird news: scientists have found a completely new type of planet, and it absolutely stinks. Researchers have identified a brand new class of exoplanet, unlike any previously known. It's a molten sulfur-rich world with a vast global magma ocean that likely reeks of rotten eggs.
Ooh, yum.
The discovery, led by the University of Oxford, centers on the planet L9859d, located about 35 light years from Earth in the constellation of Volans. The study reveals that the planet does not fit into any established categories, such as a rocky, gaseous, or water-rich world, but instead represents an entirely new type of planetary body. Using advanced modeling and observational data, the team found that L9859d likely possesses a mantle composed of molten silicate material similar to lava on Earth, extending deep beneath its surface. Unlike early Earth, however, the magma ocean appears to have persisted for billions of years rather than cooling to form a solid crust.
Stinky egg planet.
Yeah, so essentially just like a lava planet, it seems like, for the most part, which is pretty interesting. Another classification of exoplanets, which we were talking about with I guess Jim Krug a couple weeks ago, we were talking about all the exoplanets and just more and more that we're going to find with the observations we have and the new cameras that are going up, and James Webb and all that stuff. Story number 2, Southern California mayor charged with acting as an agent for China. I thought this was interesting.
I did see this one, yes.
Yeah, Southern California mayor has been charged with operating as an illegal foreign agent on behalf of the Chinese government and resigned from her post, authorities announced. Eileen Wang, 58, who had been mayor of the Los Angeles County suburb of Arcadia since February, agreed to plead guilty to 1 count of acting in the United States as an illegal agent of a foreign government.
Dang.
The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California said on a release on May 11th, in the plea agreement, Wang admitted to working with another man from Chino Hills to promote propaganda favorable to the People's Republic of China within the United States. Son is serving, so the person she was talking to there was serving a 4-year prison sentence after pleading guilty to the same charge back in October. Between late 2020 and 2022, the two operated a website called U.S. News Site, which purported to serve the area's Chinese American community. Wang and Son posted content favorable to the Chinese government on the site at the direction of government operatives from China, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Wow.
You know, I talk about this all the time. Like, I mean, there's always intelligence operations going on. Like I imagine we have a spy in every nation on earth. The United States does, you know, and I imagine most other countries have spies, but to actually be an elected official mayor, that was pretty interesting, I thought. So we'll see what happens with that. Although she's already kind of admitted to that, and there's a plea bargain.
Infiltrated.
Which there was a lot of stuff coming out last year about that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Story number 3, Japan robot wolves in high demand to scare off bears. A Japanese company making ferocious-looking robot wolves is being swamped by orders after record numbers of fatal bear attacks on humans last year.
Wow.
Monster Wolf is an animatronic scarecrow with flashing red eyes and howls and growls menacingly to scare away wild animals.
Where is it? Japan?
Japan.
I didn't realize they had so many bears.
Ota Psyche, the Hokkaido-based firm that makes the devices, has already received around 50 orders this year, more than the usual volume for an entire year. They make them by hand, and they say, we cannot make them fast enough now. We're asking our customers to wait 2 or 3 months. Company President Yuji Oda said awareness of bear safety and measures against wildlife damage improved. There was also growling recognition that our product is effective with dealing with bears, they said.
So they're not scarecrows.
They're scare wolves.
Scare bears.
Animatronic scare wolves, I guess.
But
orders come.
It's bear. It's got to be a scare bear because it's you scare the crows away. Mm-hmm. You see,
a scare bear. Mm-hmm. Except, I don't know. Orders come mostly from farmers, operators of golf courses, and people working outside in rural areas such as in construction. Bears killed 13 people across Japan in 2025 and 2026, more than twice the previous high. More than 50,000 bear sightings were recorded nationwide, more than double the previous record set 2 years before, according to official data.
Wow. Who knew there were so many bears in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
And then finally, Lauren Boebert echoes Vice President Vance's claims of a biblical connection to the UFO. So I just wanted to bring this up because we have been talking about this. I think we got into this with our guest, Jim Krug from MUFON. And I know that we talked about this with Darcy Staniforth, and we were kind of talking about, are we ready for disclosure? The United States, of course, is ready for disclosure. All of us here on Team Weird are definitely ready for disclosure, and most of the people we know and hang out with are ready for disclosure. But as we've talked about before, there are a significant amount of people who aren't. And it turns out that J.D. Vance isn't the only American politician with alternative views about the nature of visitors from other worlds. Representative Lauren Boebert also recently expressed very similar opinions. In a short video she recently recorded, She talked about the UFO phenomena while expressing her thoughts based on her personal religious beliefs. It's always been something in my mind to say, well, how can we be the only ones? Like, God's not going to stop creating just with us, she said. The more I look into this, the more I see the Old Testament and what was told to us there of fallen angels and the Nephilim. Nothing that says the fallen angels and that the Nephilim just disappeared. And so I believe this could be an aspect of it. I do believe that this is more spiritual. And if you really want to go there, they are demonic, end quote. And Beaubear's comments are not dissimilar to those of Vice
But
President
why couldn't they have been angels?
Who sparked controversy recently when he suggested that UFOs are being piloted by demons.
Demon UFOs. Jeez Louise.
So, like I said,
I mean, I feel like they're thinking on the right track, like, oh, well, the Bible says there's these other creatures that were created. Mm-hmm. Yes, good. Excellent. Gold star. But then, it's just jump straight to demons.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like, I think sometimes this happens with politics, but I think this can also happen with the paranormal community is we all, whether we realize it or not, live in echo chambers in social media and in our online lives. And so when I go on my social media sites, everybody is ready for disclosure. Yes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't another subtext of our society that is completely not ready for disclosure. And so when we talk about why this stuff is being so slow and coming out, I wonder, besides blaming the government and cover-ups and so on and so forth, if there isn't some truth to the idea that people just aren't ready for the information.
Wah, wah, wah.
And that was the weird news.
Boo.
All right, Jenny, we ready to bring our guest on tonight?
Of course.
Sam Baltrusis is the author of the books Ghosts of Sleepy Hollow and many more. He is featured in The Curse of Lizzie Borden Shock Doc, has penned more than a dozen paranormal themed books, including Ghosts of Salem, Mass Murders, and Ghosts of the American Revolution. He has been featured on several national TV shows, including the Travel Channel's A Haunting, Most Terrifying Places, Haunted USA, and The Most Terrifying with Jason Hawes. Sam is a sought-after lecturer who speaks at libraries and paranormal related events all across the country. Please welcome back to the show, Sam Baltrusis. How are you doing, Sam?
Hey, doing well. I literally just rolled out of bed, so I'm like yes, the witching hours.
Yeah.
But your coffee must have been kicking in because you were dancing behind the scenes. So
I was. It was more like just, you were talking about the disclosure, and I'm like, I'm actually in the camp where I don't want disclosure. Like that, aliens terrify me, or like UFOs, all that stuff mortifies me.
Really?
Yeah, I
you deal with some you deal with some weird stuff, Sam, and you're scared of aliens?
I know, right? And like you would think that I would be more open-minded, but no. I've always been like that.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't know if I want disclosure just because I enjoy the mystery, I mean, I think so much of the paranormal is just kind of the what ifs and trying to figure things out. And I feel like disclosure would just kind of be like, oh, well, all right, let's move on to the next thing. I don't know.
It's like, okay, they exist. Oh, God.
Yeah.
They're not that cool.
Yeah. I guess I'm kind of in that school too. Like I think it's good to, I always want to like 10%, like perhaps they don't exist, Yeah. I want that 10%. And so knowing that they do exist kind of ruins it. So yeah. So no disclosure, UAPs, UFOs, alien life form, no.
Yeah.
So you've never encountered them in your spiritual work?
So I have, and that's probably why I'm scared.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was literally just talking about this. I did a show called, or a documentary called The House in Between Two. And I was put in an isolation igloo in the back of this house in Florence, Mississippi. And during the isolation, it kind of transformed to spirit realm to alien realm
Wow.
within a few hours. It was like almost like a dramatic shift. While I was talking to Alice, who is the homeowner of the house in between, she and I were talking, and above me was a V-shaped spacecraft that flew above us while I was talking. So I was talking to Alice. I was mid-sentence. I saw the spacecraft. I looked up, and I couldn't go, "Hey guys, film what's happening above us." So I tell them later, and they're like, "Okay, talk about it on camera." And then they actually showed me video, other sightings in the area of a similar spacecraft. So
Wow.
I was validated, but it was also too weird to talk about on the documentary, and it took away from the narrative. So I did have an experience, and it was very, very. It was almost like it presented itself to me, and I also think that what's happening at the house in between is also alien related or UFO related. So I did have an experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and it's it's interesting too, and that's one of the I guess the interesting things about a lot of the content that comes out. There has to be some kind of kind of narrative and flow to it. So sometimes things like that could be kind of important on their own don't quite fit in and get kind of dropped on the cutting room floor, which I think you've had to deal with more than we have to a certain degree.
Yeah, and it didn't fit. So I during the read, so I was brought into this property. I didn't even know where I was going, or even saw the first documentary. And I did pick up pretty profound stuff on the property. So there was an older gentleman who was like, get off my land, get off my land. And then in the back there was I picked up a lynching. And so if you watch the house in between two, it was so hard for me as a medium to go on the record on a documentary that was seen by thousands of people to say that I was picking up a lynching. The thing is, I got validation, and so turns out that property had a backstory of it was a plantation, and didn't know this, wasn't historically written down because all the paperwork was burned in a fire. So so yeah, it was like I actually was, so that to me, I'm glad that they did focus on that because it was very important historical information. The other stuff I think could be for House in Between 3, like for the next iteration of it, because I do feel like that it's important, but it just didn't fit into the story at the time. I didn't want to take away from the history that I basically uncovered as a medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a delicate subject, and not to harp on that because I know those things are hard to talk about. So I can only imagine having to speak about that, like you said, on a documentary, because Ginny came across that in our investigation at Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park, and so that was something just with our group, or afterwards we were just kind of hesitant to talk about that with other people because it's heavy, and there's a lot of things that are attached to that. So I can completely understand like having to keep that, having to talk about those things can be difficult in paranormal investigation. But at the same time, being the historian that I am, a lot of those people, their stories weren't told, and so being able to come out with that information while it's really heavy and can be, can be hard to talk about it. I think a lot of times is also important too, especially if you're getting the information about that to be able to let people know what happened.
Yeah,
agree.
I mean, I completely agree, but I also think that there is what I call the Bathsheba effect, where you have well-intentioned mediums going into houses like the Conjuring House, and they say, in this is a malignant entity, and her name is Bathsheba, and it almost creates a narrative that works in the opposite way, and kind of demonizes this woman Bathsheba, who was actually not a witch, nor did she kill a child like she's portrayed in the Conjuring franchise. So I think it kind of goes both ways. I think it's really important for us to kind of say what we pick up, but when you're in a platform like a documentary, the fact you want to know the history is correct, and I didn't have any. I was completely cold. So that as someone that writes books, and then also as a medium, that kind of fine like balance between historical fact and what I pick up as a medium is really important to me, but also something that I think about a lot. And I'm sure Jenny also does too. Like I'm sure you like that's something that you want to be truthful in what you're saying, but you also have to be careful not to kind of create a false narrative.
Yes, absolutely. It's a tricky, it's like a fine line to walk, because like we have to trust what we're getting, but then at the same time, like you don't want somebody you don't want somebody to be thinking something completely wrong either. Yeah, we just have to trust what we're getting is correct.
Yeah,
and then not sensationalize it either as a medium. We were having that conversation a lot over the weekend at Cabin Con, like people exaggerating things and making it sound bigger than it is. Like as mediums, I think we have a responsibility to not make it worse or better or whatever than what we're picking up on.
Exactly. As someone who writes books and you I would say like I like drama, but I think that it's important. I think my motivation mainly is to focus on the voices, the marginalized communities, like Frost said. And I think that as long as I'm doing that, I'm doing my job. But I have a tendency of like looking at things maybe in more dramatic, in a dramatic way, I guess. So I have to kind of keep myself in check too, like not overly dramatic, am I like
Sam overly dramatic? What?
Exactly. Because
but that's just who you are though too. So
it is. I have gotten so much better, but when I first started doing paranormal related events and investigations, people liked me going because I was almost like this like Scooby-Doo, like I was so reactive to what was happening. I'm like, and super like dramatic, and people they felt like I was kind of fun to watch, I guess. I was like good television. But I also think what was happening though is the darker entities were feeding off my fear. And by giving that extreme emotion that I was giving for so many years, things were happening. Like when we go to for the Team Weird Takeover, like just be prepared. All hell breaks loose when you go on an investigation with me. Like it really does. And you guys have done stuff with me, and you have kind of seen it firsthand. But I have to kind of keep myself like my energy like kind of grounded, because I will literally lights will blow out. You'll hear a growl in the background. Like all sorts of things will happen when I'm in the room because I just give off that energy.
Yeah, I think you have like an invisible tattoo that says like "mess with me" on your forehead. Yeah,
I do. And I don't know what it is, and I have been working on it, but I also realize like that's just me, like you said. It's like my authentic self, and I have to kind of embrace my authentic self.
Yeah. And we're looking forward to it, and we're hoping we have a nice fun-filled evening with lots of things happening. Yes. So we'll see. We haven't really got to talk about it. I don't know how much we do, but we had a great time. We got to go with you to Gettysburg this year, and that we had some really great investigations there. And I think I had one of the most weird things happen to me on an investigation when we went to the orphanage there in Gettysburg this year, and that was outstanding. And so it does seem like anytime I've had the small opportunities I've had so far to investigate with you, we've had a lot of activity. So I'm really looking forward to what we've run into at the Lord Baltimore Hotel.
Yeah, the Gettysburg thing for me, like the orphanage, that was in the orphanage when we were there, like you were very affected. I was very affected. It was this weird emotion. And it was almost like so Rosa, I think, is the woman who ran the orphanage in Gettysburg. I was just getting like these messages from her, and she was getting really angry. And we were all kind of getting angry in the group. And like it was almost like misinformation. Like she's being kind of marked, like turned into this villain, which she probably was. She probably did do some horrible things that was historically, but I think it may have been over dramatized to a certain degree. And that's the part that I was really responding to, but it wasn't me. It was something else that was responding, and it took over you and other people in the room too.
Yeah. And that had never happened to me before. And it was really weird because I I felt bad, because it's like I'm here with this group, and you want to have a great investigation, and I got to the point where I was so angry, I just wanted to start yelling, and I was like, I'm gonna cause a scene, and they're gonna be like, we don't want Rossi to come anymore. Because I was just I was like, I'm gonna cause a major scene here because I just had this absolute rage just start kind of welling up in me. And I know it wasn't mine. I was like, what is going on here? And so yeah, it was a really interesting.
We weren't the only ones that had that experience. Like
Yeah.
so many people in the group were having something similar happen.
And I haven't ever had that kind of experience before where something, I guess you would say, kind of jumped you or, jumped me like that before, where I was actually feeling the emotions of something else. I hadn't, so trying to deal with that in real time for the first time was interesting.
So whatever it was jumping. It jumped from me and then went to you and other people in the room. So it was jumping people and almost trying to like take them over and I get maybe win them over. I'm not sure what the motivation was per se, but it was really profound and it was very quick how this entity moved. But I had an experience there a couple of years ago. I was with Richard Estep doing an investigation at the orphanage, and while we were down in the basement area where allegedly the children were held captive, I was taken over by like a whimpering child. And I don't even know. The thing is, I don't even know if it was a child. And it was like a really, really kind of like bizarre whimpering coming from me. And my face distorted too. So people in the room said that they can literally see my face change while I was being taken over or hijacked. So I think that the orphanage has this proclivity of being for people being taken over and almost against their will. And I had major protection up. Like we did protection for Haunted Travels weekend, and I felt very protected, but it still had infiltrated that protection and affected me and you and other people in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Powerful energy there, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was. And, not to, spend too much time, but it was a great event. That was our first time to Gettysburg. I had completely underestimated it. I wasn't expecting it to be what it was. And I mean, the second we got into the town, you could just feel an energy shift. And so I'm sure there's a ton of people who have been to Gettysburg and experienced that. But if you like history or you're into the paranormal and you haven't been to Gettysburg, then it's an absolutely tremendous place to visit for sure. For that, I'll go ahead and go to you, Jenny. I know you had a bunch of stuff you wanted to get started with tonight too. So
this weekend we're going to be at Belgrove Plantation doing Spirit Squad weekend. But for those of people who don't know what Spirit Squad is, will you fill them in?
Sure. So as a medium, I didn't really have a traditional mentor. So I did a lot of what I do now. I learned the hard way. So I had an attachment that nearly killed me. I didn't know basics with protection. I was identified as a clairvoyant. I didn't know what was going on. So it was really important to me to be a mentor to up and coming mediums. So Spirit Squad really is a group of mediums who, from various degrees. There are people that are advanced mediums that are part of Spirit Squad, and we have people that are just starting out and more identify as a sensitive or as an empath. So it's a group together where it works as a community, and we are very big about learning new techniques, learning from other mediums. Also, some of the Spirit Squad members also teach within the group too. So it's a learning community, and I learn along the way. So I learn how like Akashic records and channeling and that sort of thing as a group. And we have guest speakers come on to Spirit Squad, and we meet we have sessions and that have specific topics like crime scene investigation. The one coming up is investigation techniques using your psychic abilities on a paranormal investigation, coming up June 1st. And still, if you want to join Spirit Squad, go to sambaltrusis.com and sign up, because it's a wonderful group. And what I find is that this group together amplifies our gifts. So we almost like plug into Spirit Squad, and when you plug in, it's sort of like you, as a group, we all kind of are on fire, and it's a wonderful feeling. There's a lot of love in the group, so you feel the love and you feel the support. And I think that I didn't have that, so it's giving what I didn't have when I first started, when I first came out of the crystal closet, if you will, with my abilities, because it was scary. I mean, things were happening, and as you guys have seen me, in my Scooby-Doo reactionary Sam kind of way, I was so reactive, and I didn't get that the reason why I was being scratched and pushed and attacked was because the darker entities were feeding off my fear. And once I figured that out, I was able to control that, and I'm able to pass that on to my students.
That's wonderful. I love that there's so many groups like this, like you have, and I've got my community, and Kim has her community, and like everybody is just so willing to help each other and be supportive of each other. Because we hear sometimes about the folks that aren't so supportive of each other, but like that hasn't been my experience. I feel like everybody that I know is doing what you're doing, or doing what I'm doing, or doing what Kim's doing, like helping other people learn all of these skills too, so that they know what's going on with themselves. It's great.
It's really important. And I gravitate to people like you and to people like Kim. I think that when I first started, that was the case. It was pretty much everybody was like out to get you. And I worked in Salem, Massachusetts for as a tour guide, and I worked at various like a hotel and like museums. It's so cutthroat in Salem, and then we have what's called witch wars in Salem. So people were literally putting spells on people. And
oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. So I you know what? That's not me. Like I want to put out to the universe that we are all in this together, and as a group, as Spirit Squad, we are stronger, and that's also with like your group and Ken's group, and that's what Spirit Squad Weekend's about. It's about merging those groups together to learn from each other.
So tell us what people can expect for the Belgrove experience this weekend.
So we had it last year, and it was absolutely amazing. It was probably my favorite event of the year. Well, except for the Haunted Travels, that was high on my list last year as well. And so it was like a spiritual retreat, and this beautiful property that's extremely haunted, that had so many things going on. There's this traditional spirits that are going on there, plus there's elemental energies going on. So the whole weekend was about trying different techniques like shamanic journeying that Kim facilitates. I did a psychic sweep of the property, didn't know the history, came in, read the Belgrove, which is a former plantation, and also the area for me that's really active is outside. So I did do some readings outside as well. We had different speakers, and it's just wonderful community gathering. And I was big about with Spirit Squad and the other people that were participating, like focusing on protection, but also giving. We did like a throwing rocks ritual where we like let go and let God, like sort of like letting go of any negativity or any baggage. And there's a beautiful water that's I forget the name of the water area that's outside.
It's a river of some sort. River.
Beautiful river that has so much history, and you can feel the energy, and like literally throw out all your negativity into the water, and also just like releasing yourself to go to the next level. And so it was very beautiful. The animals responded. There's so much like animal magic on the property, and that's the part that I am kind of like going into as someone that's a medium. I'm kind of going the shamanic way, and where I do get validation from the birds and from the animals of the land. They respond to me if I I listened to them, or if I asked for validation. And when I did the House in Between too, I didn't have my trusty dowsing rods. So I asked for validation from the birds, and they responded. So it was all these things kind of wrapped into one package. And it was just so beautiful on so many levels.
So it's happening this weekend. There was 1 ticket or 2 tickets left?
Yeah, so there was kind of a miscommunication.
Oh.
Someone bought a ticket. So I have 1 ticket left. Please,
okay,
maybe 2 if you want to be able to go. Reach out to me, Sam Baltrusis. I can definitely get you one. I think it's worth it, and I think it's a life-changing experience. So yeah, I highly recommend reaching out to me to get a ticket for this weekend.
Very excited about it. That's the Belle Grove Plantation in Port Conway, Virginia.
Yes.
Excellent.
So Frosty, do you want to talk about?
Well, what are you doing there this weekend?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
I am going to be doing an art project that is a personal mandala that's based on like your own signs and synchronicities and things you want to manifest and stuff like that. And just doing very simple symbols to make a very beautiful artwork. So
okay.
Yeah.
So kind of mixing the spirit and art together a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a woo-woo art project. Yes.
I love woo-woo art projects.
I'm excited to see what people make. I think it's going to be great. Frosty, did you want to talk about the book?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about what Sam has coming up, because I don't know what you can talk about and what you can't talk about, but can you fill us in on kind of what you've been working on and what we have coming up, if you can?
Sure. So I have 2 books coming out this year in addition to an anthology. So the first book is Haunted Castles of New England. That's coming out in August 4th. And then the second book that sort of I've done true crime before. I was a journalist for 20 years. So I have done a lot of true crime as a journalist, have written 1 book that was more true crime and less paranormal. But this one is kind of near and dear to my heart. It's Lizzie Borden and the Family Curse. So I go take a deep dive into Lizzie Borden and what happened in 1892. But I also really go take a deep dive into other family members that are tied into to Lizzie Borden's bloodline. So I'm related distantly to Lizzie Borden, and our bloodline also is connected to some pretty tragic historical cases, like Sarah Maria Cornell, and like we're connected to Eileen Wuornos distantly through our bloodline, and also Marilyn Monroe. And so I actually was just in California, kind of taking a deep dive into Marilyn Monroe, or Norma Jean, who we recently uncovered as a family member. We found out her biological father was Charles Gifford, and he connects Marilyn, or Norma Jean, to our family line. So she's related to Lizzie Borden as well.
Wow.
So a lot with that, and then we have Haunted Travels Anthology, and Frosty submitted, and I said, please write an article for Haunted Travels, and Frosty submitted and was accepted by the editorial board. So yay! We can say what it is. So it's Lake Shawnee, and it was excellent. And with this one, so it's in the editing phase right now. So it's scheduled to come out June 13th. The only holdup probably would be mainly for because I have 2 books, I have to contractually not have a book come out within a certain window from my other 2 books. So having 3 books come out, like in a row, you have to kind of pace yourself when it comes to the marketing and stuff involved. So we're gearing for June 13th, but that could change depending on several factors. But we're gearing for a release. And get this, the Ricky Rocket, who was the drummer for the band Poison, wrote the forward book. So
that's so cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to be really cool. So, talking about the anthology series, I'm sure we've talked about this previously, but for those who are joining us on this show, what kind of brought about the idea to do an anthology series like that?
So kind of in the same spirit as Spirit Squad, I didn't have too many mentors as a writer, and I felt like, if anything, like that's something that I was trained in. I was trained as a journalist, in college, had so many years as a working in journalism as an editor. I wanted to, when I started writing paranormal themed books, I really wanted to be the best. Because I remember like when I first wrote my first book, Ghost of Boston, and thinking that the quality of the books that were out there just didn't have the historical accuracy, that it was more, I guess I wouldn't say made up history, but they didn't really take a deep dive into the history. So my goal as, you know, as a mentor and as a writer is to get the history correct. So I wanted to do an anthology that showcased other up and coming writers with an emphasis on history. And you were perfect for contributing to that, because I feel like what I write really are history books with ghost stories. And I think that the ghost stories, of course, lure readers in, but it's an interesting way to kind of present history in sort of a different way, using ghost lore and doing interviews and using mediums to read the land. So I think that is why I wanted to do it. I wanted something that was more kind of focused on history, but also acts as a travel guide too. I want people like, where should I go? I want to go to a haunted location. Where do I go? And the book really showcases some really like unheard of places, so places that you have never heard of before, and places like you have like Lake Shawnee. But I've never been there, so it was really fascinating reading the story before hopefully going, you know, and getting that experience. So it's almost like you're able to go, and I'm sure Jenny Lee would love that. Like, as a remote viewer, I can actually go there. Like when I'm reading, I can kind of like go to Lake Shawnee, or I can go to Alcatraz or the Queen Mary, and so it's kind of like I love kind of going with the story and like going to the location remotely.
Yeah, and haven't been able to do that. You know, you're talking about Lake Shawnee. I mean, Lake Shawnee definitely is well known. There's been lots of, you know, documentaries that have gone there and TV shows that have gone there. But you know, for a lot of people, if you want to go to Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park, it has to be a destination, because you're not going to run into it. You know, it's out in the middle of nowhere in the Appalachians, and you know, if you go there and stay the night, it's a very kind of, you know, roughing it kind of experience. So it's got to be the destination. Unlike some places where you might show up into Richmond and be there for the weekend and be like, oh, let's go check out this haunted place, or Boston or wherever. For Lake Shawnee, you have to make that, okay, we're going to take some time. We're going to drive out into the middle of the mountains in the middle of nowhere to be able to go visit this place for sure. And it was interesting for me to write that story. To write that, because I'm a trained historian. You know, like I have an MA in history, so I learned how to write history, but I also only know how to write it really from that viewpoint, where it's like citation, 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 nothing but the facts kind of. And if you started delving or adding a little bit too much pizzazz to it, you know, you're going to get your hand slapped a little bit. So this was fun for me to be able to kind of do the history part, but then also find a way to try to make it a little bit more, kind of step outside my comfort zone a little bit. So it was definitely a learning experience for me. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it turned out great, and as someone who is, I have seen that, and other contributors are more academic in their approach. So having the academic approach and then kind of making it more haunted travels friendly is a challenge. But I think you did it well. And I think even just by adding, you know, mediums, you know, like adding Jenny Lee to the story and adding other people that had experiences there to the story, kind of does that automatically. I think that it's a really interesting read, and this is the second edition of Haunted Travels anthology, and I feel like that we definitely it's so much better than the first. The first is great, but I think the second is people are going to love it. So the goal is for it to come out June 13th, just in time for travel season, and also for Team Weird Takeover. I'm hoping to have copies available. Let's go to Team Weird Takeover.
Yeah, because Team Weird. I'm sure there'll be some Team Weird people who want to buy that book. Get there. So it will be available. Hopefully, it will be there and be available. So
I was just going to say that I'm glad that I get to be the pizzazz.
You get to be the pizzazz.
You were like very much the pizzazz, and I'm like, yeah. Jazz hand pizzazz.
The jazz hand pizzazz.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. You have 3 books coming. You have you said you have a Castle book, the anthology, and the Lizzie Borden.
Yes. And
okay.
Not only that, the Lizzie Borden book is coming out October 13th, and it's already being prepped as being like this huge thing because
it's a big deal.
We have Ryan Murphy's who does the Monster American Horror Story. His 4th installment of the Monster series is on Lizzie Borden. So so it's important. It was important for my publisher for me to kind of have my book out around the time that the Monster Lizzie Borden series comes out. So it's already being prepped as the book of the season. But what's good about it is being packaged as true crime. So I have paranormal books, a paranormal history book, which is the Haunted Travels. And then I have a true crime book. So kind of different genres, all kind of similar, but different genres coming out within a 6-month period.
And a lot of people that love paranormal love true crime and vice versa.
Yeah, I personally as a journalist that has worked on a lot of true crime cases. It's so hard for me because I'm so sensitive, and it's something that I can write about something that happened in 1892, and I could definitely write about something that is a family member that may or may not have committed the crime of the century. But I also think that is something that if it's a recent crime, it's harder for me to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really interesting because we talked, we've talked about, let me back up for a second. I'm kind of get in the middle of something. So talking about mediumship abilities, when I first started getting into this with Jenny, it seemed like crimes that had occurred would be a perfect place for people with that specific skill set to be able to work in. Obviously, the paranormal is another great place, and probably there's all kinds of areas that people with mediumship gifts and stuff can work in. But I have noticed that a lot of mediums I know kind of shy away from doing like criminal investigations and active investigations, though we know a lot of mediums do work with the police and FBI and all kinds of things like that. But it sounds like that's something that's even difficult for you, Sam, and also for you, Jenny, in terms of like having to deal with kind of real life things that are going on for that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's always the what if you get it wrong, and the self-doubt, and self-doubt is real for mediums. If you are actually someone that has empathy, which all of us do, it's hard. You want to make sure that you get it correct. So you don't want to pull a Sylvia Brown and say like, oh no, honey, she's dead, and even though the woman's alive. So there's always that. What if I get it wrong? But like these are family members that want to know what happened to their loved ones. So for me, the loved ones are still around. It's so important for me to, before I go on the record, to make sure that I'm correct. However, for me, the biggest thing for me really is reliving what happened. And I will go back, and I'm a psychometrist. So like I would put my hand on something, flashback, and I will go, and I have been metaphorically, like I've in a vision murdered. Like I've been stoned, I've been stabbed, I don't want to go through that. And so some having that, like I also don't want to re-traumatize the victims. So there's a lot of factors to it. And also too, like police, I have worked with the police, and you gotta have, there's so many permissions. You have the permission of the family, other things that you have to do if you actually do work on a crime scene. And this is stuff we did cover in Spirit Squad. We actually did a really excellent session on crime scenes because there's so many things that you have to check off before you even consider connecting to that. But you're right, it is something that some of us do and some of us do very well, but there's so many things that could go wrong that you have to be careful.
I think that's a great point that you made at the beginning, Sam, about the idea of like having to be confident, like having to have the self-confidence and the small amounts of times that I've worked on my own mediumship, I found that to be probably the number one thing, because if you don't have confidence, if you don't trust what you're feeling or the things that are coming to you, like there's almost no way to move forward. Like you have to be able to acknowledge the information you're getting. And if you doubt it, then I don't really know where you could go from there, to be able to improve your ability,
Well, for me, like I like validation. So whether it's investigation happening while I'm doing readings to get validation, or it could be something like dowsing rods, or it could be the birds. Like I was at House in Between too. Like I literally could not use any divination tools like my dowsing rods. And I said, birds, if this is true, please give me a sign. And the birds like wah, wah, squawking. And I'm like, oh my God, the kid. And they showed it in a documentary, and Alice's chin drops when the birds start like cawing. So yeah, I mean, I get my validation, and I literally get validation, and I still don't believe it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And the birds are like, Sam, like they're cawing right in the face. Like, we're giving you validation, Sam. But so yeah, I think that the more and more I do, the more confident that I get. And so I do, and I get it right. Like even like for me, when the birds were cawing, I still didn't want to. I was still scared to go on the record saying that there was a lynching on the property, and also reliving it. It was horrible. It was so horrible. I was in tears when I was telling the story because I felt for this man that was there's wrongly accused, getting killed for disobeying something. Like I forget exactly why this man was killed, but it was not just one man; it was multiple people. So getting that wrong is so that would be the worst thing for me. It would haunt me. So that's something weighing on me as well. Like, am I completely off? And Jenny Lee knows this too. And Frosty is someone that's kind of first starting out. Is you get cryptic messages and you can't take it literal. Like you'll get, like Cam and I have this funny story when we were in the Hanover Tavern Paracon. Her grandfather was coming through, and I'm like, why am I getting corn? And then my Heidi was with me, and she's like, maybe because I'm eating cornbread. I'm like, no, honey, it's not. You're eating cornbread. And I'm like getting corn. So it turns out Kim Sage's grandfather or great grandfather, her spirit guide, was Cornstalk. He was so tall. So it came as corn, and this Native American woman was holding a piece of corn to me, and I'm like, why are you showing me corn?
Yeah.
So you get these cryptic messages, and especially as a clairvoyant, it's like playing charades, trying to figure out what the spirits are trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you knew it wasn't Heidi's cornbread.
Yeah, when she said that, it was so funny. She's like, maybe it's my cornbread. I'm like, no, Heidi, it's not your corn. I'm not picking up on your cornbread. Okay.
I want some cornbread.
Oh, goodness gracious. Frosty, it's just about at the top of the hour, a few minutes early. Do you want to go ahead and reset?
Yeah, if you have joined us since the beginning of the show, welcome in. Tonight we're joined by guest Sam Baltrusis, and we're talking about all kinds of things. We're talking about new books that he has coming out this year, and investigations that we've been able to do over the year. And we're here soon to be talking about more things that are going to be coming up that we're going to be participating in together this year. So welcome in. If you are looking for the links to be able to find Sam, we have those pinned to the top of the Witching Hours chat. And if you're listening,
SamBaltrusis.com.
There you go. And if you're listening at another time in another place, we will have all of the links to the things that we've talked about down below. So you can go find Sam and all the things we've been talking about, links to all the different things that we'll be talking about this evening.
So I know that you can't share some of the things, maybe many of the things, but you just got to go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
What did you get to do while you were there?
Well, so the idea, so I am working on, I would love to turn my book, Lizzie Borden and the Family Curse, into a documentary. I have done the documentary, The Curse of Lizzie Borden, and so I felt like that this book is the next step, like iteration of what I did, because I was able to go to a lot of the locations tied to not just the Lizzie Borden case in 1892, but other family members that are tied to us, to Lizzie, and to myself, and some amazing stuff. And a lot of the adventures that I went on as a paranormal investigator, as a medium, I was with Andrew Warburton. So my best friend, the author of Fairies of New England Fairies, he and I traveled all over with this book, and it was such a wonderful bonding experience doing that with Andy, that I want to turn this into a documentary. So the goal was to generate interest for the documentary, and right now, to be honest with you, it's really difficult to get the streaming platforms to respond, like to have meetings and that sort of thing. But because of Ryan Murphy's his docuseries Monster coming out, this is the perfect time for that to happen. So that was my intention. What it turned into was possible material for my next book on one of our family members, Marilyn Monroe. So I went to the Roosevelt Hotel. I just kind of went by the Viper Room, but like a lot of the location where she's buried in the cemetery, I felt very pulled to her to tell her story, and I'm hoping that I could tell that story in a book, maybe something along the lines of Cursed Hollywood, or something similar to that, because I just felt so inspired while I was there. And I went to the Griffith Observatory, which I only remember seeing in the Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean. And I remember seeing that as a kid. I always wanted to go there. It was so beautiful, and it was so haunted. It was like literally the most haunted place that I've been to on the West Coast. It was just amazing. Wow. Yeah, like stuff. I literally was seeing like this man on horseback. I mean, why is there a man in the middle of the mountains on a horseback? And then no one, like my friend didn't see it. So I was just like, okay, I'm seeing a man on horseback, and what? And it turns out that there's a whole story of that, like, and the land is allegedly cursed. So yeah, it was just beautiful, haunting, very inspiring, and hopefully we'll turn into a book someday. Like I have to, of course, go back, because it was literally like 3 days. So it was like I was there, and then the next thing I knew, I was back on a plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roll out of bed, and then I do this podcast. Like I got back.
Yeah.
Wake up, roll out of bed, get a coffee, come in the witching hours.
Yeah.
It's a rough life. A rough life, Sam.
Yeah. My life is so cool. I love it.
I love seeing great. Everywhere you go and all the things you do. So yeah, that was one of my questions was, what are you going to work on next? So it sounds like a Marilyn Monroe book. You got any other ideas that you've been tossing around?
Well, I do want to really take the Haunted Travels anthology to the next level. So we are doing a volume 3. Cool. And I mean, knock on wood, like that may be my 4th book. So we actually may have 4 books in 2026.
Good Lord, Sam.
But, well, there is a push for me. So this is sort of public knowledge, but there's a potential that I may be moving in November. However, things may have changed. So, before I go on the record that I may move, I'm just preparing for a potential move. And there's several factors because of that. But for me, like my brand is New England. I love New England, but I also feel like that I have rheumatoid arthritis. So I have to go in a warmer climate, because the winters in New England flare up my rheumatoid arthritis. So it's more health than anything, but I also have to logistically be able to travel. So, well, I mean, there could be other books from other locations. So, because I really focus on New England in my books primarily, but I'm opening up my, I did Ghost of the American Revolution, which went all over for the research. So I'm loving the idea of traveling for my books and not necessarily just focusing on New England.
Yeah.
Yeah. We already have feedback for you in chat here, Sam. Luce is saying, which by the way today is Luce's birthday, so happy birthday,
Luce.
Happy birthday.
Said just Snowbird and do both. And CMC followed that up with this. CMC said the same thing. Just become a snowbird.
I wish I could afford that.
Right?
Like definitely is my dream. Like, truthfully, like as someone who travels all the time and like someone that my plan is kind of to be like a snowbird, but it's more about work. So I have to work, and if you as a snowbird, it's hard to work in New England and then work in like North Carolina, which is where I'm potentially moving to. So we'll see. Yes, that is my goal. And where the warmer climate, I'm not sure that's going to be, because I'm actually originally from Florida, so I could always move back home, and there's a lot of material back home. But I also, that's where my family is, and it's really, really hot in the summer, like really hot. And,
you don't say.
And so I love my family, but I also don't want to be in a really hot climate, because also humidity also causes my rheumatoid to kick in too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Sam said, "Not in this economy, chat. Not in this economy." I will say, selfishly, I'm looking forward to that, because being in Virginia, we are not that far away.
Yes.
If you make a move down, to be able to do more stuff with you, so that'd be wonderful on our end.
I would love it, and so as of, it's still kind of up in the air, primarily because of money, because it's really expensive to move, and I also just signed a 1-year lease for my apartment in Boston. Actually, it's Somerville, which is right outside of Boston. So we'll see what happens, but the plan is November, but based on money and like and jobs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, good luck with that. I hope everything turns out exactly the way that it's supposed to for you on that.
Yes.
Kind of changing gears a little bit. I know we want to talk about Team Weird Takeover, and we'll get there in just a little bit, but I also wanted to have a chance to talk to you about some other things that you're going to have and places you'll be traveling to this year. I know, following you a lot, I get to see, is it the New Orleans Paracon that you're going to be visiting again this year? Or is that that's coming this summer, right?
Yeah. So it's the end of July, early August. And for me, like, that is sort of the event of the summer. Team Weird Takeover is the event of the summer, but this is the New Orleans Paracon is.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. The second one is the New Orleans Paracon. It's going to be huge. It's in New Orleans, right downtown. I grew up in the panhandle of Florida, so I would go to New Orleans. Like, that was my Salem. Like, that was where I learned the paranormal. That's why I'm so afraid of spirits, because of my experiences in New Orleans. So New Orleans is very near and dear to my heart as a young medium, as someone that kind of like learned the crafts in a very dark, haunted place, And so so going back to New Orleans is kind of a big deal for me, almost to the point where I had to literally go back in December just to see if New Orleans would accept me back, because I could not physically go there for so many years because of the spirit energy there.
Really?
Yeah, like stuff would happen. Like, I was supposed to go to New Orleans for the past like 5 years, and like my flight would get canceled. Like, the last time I was supposed to go to New Orleans, it snowed in New Orleans.
In New Orleans? Like, what?
Yeah, like it was 2 years ago, and I was supposed to go like in February, and my plane was all set, my hotel was all set, and they're like, "Oh, there's a snowstorm," and I could not fly into New Orleans. So something freakish happened every time I went. So I had to kind of go to test the waters, and so that's coming up July 29th through August 1st, I believe, and it's a weekend. I'm teaching classes. I'm also working with Patty Negri, who's near and dear to my heart. I love her. We're doing we're basically doing work together. So there's the Patty Negri experience, and we only have 2 tickets left for that. So it's me and Patty Negri and Father Sebastian are going to work together to have an amazing experience. So that's NewOrleansParacon.com.
Cool. Me, you, and Patty had a little dance circle at Hanover Tavern.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That was amazing. And Jenny Lee, I want to tell you again. So Jenny Lee, so I'm like, listen, I feel so drained. I feel like something is like literally sucking my life force. And Jenny Lee was like, oh, it's over here. And she was like, you have like this gushing, like oozing thing coming out of your, like behind you. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I feel like that really, and actually it really was amazing. It was amazing that you were able to find that, because I did feel like I was hemorrhaging energy. Like it was something.
You had a rip in your aura. It was just energy just like flowing out and in.
Was like just flowing out. And I was so drained. And a lot of it is health related, but truthfully, and we all know this, like a lot of it, health stuff is mental too. So if you're in a bad mind space, your body's gonna hurt. And I will say it's been like I got that whole time I was so sick for about literally 6 months. Like I had RSV, and it's even turned to almost like a chronic RSV. And for those that don't know what that is, it's a rheumatoid. It's a RSV is like a chest. It's almost like COVID. And I had like the long version of it, so it never went away. But while this was happening, I was just my life force was being sucked, and it was just like all over the place. So it was like messy. And Jenny Lee was like, Sam, let's fix that right now. So and Patty was there, and I like seeing Patty was just fun, and it was just great having her the table across from me, and you guys were literally across from me on the other side. So it was healing. It's when you get us together, there's something about that just kind of, we all support each other and love each other, and it's so I need it for me, and I need it for I need that support.
Well, I'm excited I get to give you some more healing love this weekend.
Yay.
Yeah, it was a great time at Hanover Tavern Paracon. We had a great table, like you said. Because we were right across from you. We were right next to Patty Negri, which we hadn't spoken with a lot before, and we were able to spend time with Patty Negri that weekend. And we're going to have her on the show July 6th for the first time.
Oh, that's great.
Going to be great.
Yeah. Patty and I are. She's been a regular at Mass Paracon coming up. I've done it for this 7 years. This is going to be my 8th year doing Mass Paracon, and she's been the headliner for that for many years. So she and I are very close, and we do events like the New Orleans Paracon together. So she's a lovely person, and I remember seeing her on Ghost Adventures and going, I love this woman. And I remember, and the fact that she was doing a reading on, I think it was the Black Dahlia house and on Ghost Adventures, and never watched the show, but I did watch her episode, and then just something about her approach I loved, and it was very much like I need to, not necessarily I need to know this woman, but I'm going to know this woman, and so she definitely is. She's like family to me.
Well, I guess that's something else we can kind of talk about a little bit, because we're going to be joining you at Mass Paracon this October.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. And the thing is, like, it's something that I have done for, I actually, to be honest with you, I retired it last year because of several factors, but also the main sponsor, David Taylor, who was also part of Hanover Tavern Paracon, passed away. And so the idea of doing another Mass Paracon without David, I couldn't do it. But the fact that you guys came on, I said, you know what, I can. So this is in many ways a tribute to David Taylor, but it's also I love you. I love the group that goes to Mass Paracon, and then also a focus on history and focus on showcasing parts of Massachusetts that are not visited. Like, I mean, the most visited place that people want to go to is Salem, and for this upcoming one, we're going to go to Taunton, which is right by Fall River, where the Lizzie Borden murders took place. So we're in the middle of the Bridgewater Triangle. So it's going to be focused on the location, all the panels, but also, of course, people do go to Salem, like when they go to Mass Paracon. So it's coming up October 2nd through the 4th. Go to massparacon.com. We have tickets still available. We did sell out of vendor tables, so if you're wanting to be a vendor, sadly we sold out. But definitely go. It's an amazing experience. It's more like kind of like Haunted Travels Weekend that we did in Gettysburg, but times 10. It's sort of an amplified version of a Haunted Travels. It's a wonderful weekend.
Excellent. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. And in a little bit of a way, it's a little bit of a homecoming for me, because while I'm a proud Virginian, I spent a little time being a military brat in Newport, Rhode Island. And so I lived in Middletown, Rhode Island for about 3 years when I was, I don't know, like 10, 11, 12 years old. And we used to, if we wanted to go shopping, we went to Fall River. So this will be a chance. Yeah. So this will kind of be a chance for me to kind of get back to some old stomping grounds from when I was a kid. So I'm really looking forward. And I always enjoy being able to show Jenny, some of the places that I was at when I was a kid. So it's going to be great. And I had a grandfather from Boston. So yeah, well, Cape Cod, Hyannisport. So it's really interesting. I always enjoy the opportunity to get back up and, like I said, even though I'm a proud Virginian, to get back to my New England roots a little bit. Yeah. That's great.
And there's something about New England in October, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to move, because I live for New England's September, October, the fall season. There's something energetically that happens that when I'm gone, like I long for that. So highly recommend visiting, especially that time of year. Now, don't go to Salem in October. It's definitely it's like a million people crammed on a street.
You don't want to get stuck in the middle of a witch war either.
The witch wars, yeah. Exactly. For sure. Don't want to get stuck there.
Spells flying back and forth. Might be a casualty.
Yeah. CMC says, yay, New England, the foliage is a wicked pissa, as they say.
It's wicked awesome. It's so funny because one of my books is called Wicked Salem, and truthfully, like I'm not originally from New England, although like my ancestors are from New England. I'm just not. I moved here in the 90s, so I don't use words like wicked. But there's sometimes the only word that's appropriate is wicked. Like you just gotta that is wicked, and so it does kind of. I do say it sometimes.
Yeah. Like I said, being a 10, 11, 12-year-old where you're definitely susceptible to peer pressure. When I moved there with a really drawn out Southern accent, which I've lost myself before there. Yeah. And I would say wicked because it was just something that all my friends said up there. So like, I didn't even know it was a regional thing. I just thought that was the lingo at the time that I was learning. So yeah, it's interesting. And you're right. Hoaxer said he's going to go during Halloween now, and that is the truth. I've lived a lot of different places, being in the military and being a military brat, and nobody does Halloween like New England and Massachusetts. I mean, it is full blown in that region. So
it really is.
If you're looking for a fun time during the Halloween season, that's definitely a great place to go and a great event to be able to go to enjoy that.
Yeah, and just also to plug like my other event. I have one more event in October, not to add more to my plate, but I'm doing a Halloween ball at Wilson Castle on October 30th in Proctor, Vermont. And there was a mention of the foliage. It is absolutely like breathtaking being in Vermont at Wilson Castle in October. Like you'll be blown away. So we're doing a Halloween ball and we have tickets available, and those are selling really fast. So if you can't make Mass Paracon, try to make the Halloween ball in October 30th in Proctor, Vermont.
That Wilson Castle just keeps coming up over and over and over. It seems like it's become a very popular destination.
It has, but it's very popular. It's sort of like a hidden secret, like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
So the people that we're friends with, because when I first started, it was like the place. It was like an accepting place. So my friend Monique Too Soon, who's a drag queen investigator, she actually went, like, that's where I met her, was there doing an event there at Wilson Castle. So there's something about the energy there that attracts people. Like the weirdos of the world are invited to Wilson Castle, and there's something like affirming and welcoming about Wilson Castle. So I think it's, not everybody goes there, but what's great about it is there's the energies there are accepting, and also the people. Denise and also Andy, who is the manager, just a wonderful group of people, and you want to support them. I mean, like, the paranormal saved Wilson Castle, like the events, and that's in my book, Haunted Castles in New England. In fact, Wilson Castle's on the cover because it, like, the paranormal community literally, like, it was about to be, like, it's to the point where it was like such bad shape that allowing paranormal teams to come in saved a historic property. So I love doing that. I love, like, doing events that go back to a property like Wilson Castle.
Yeah. And I haven't been able to go there. It's one of those things where, sometimes I just wish travel was a little easier because, like you said, Monique Too Soon and our friend Rob Guttrow, I know they've been doing things there, and it sounds like an absolutely wonderful place to investigate. Well, we are getting a little bit close, so I want to make sure we talk a little bit about an event we have coming up next month, which is Team Weird Takeover. We're going to be in Baltimore, Maryland, at the Lord Baltimore Hotel, and Sam is going to join us there. We're going to have a lot of wonderful guests. Andrew Warburton, who we talked about earlier, is going to be there to give a talk about fairies. Kind of bringing up the schedule here. We have all kinds of great things going on that day. Andrew Warburton, Fairies of the Four Elements, is going to be the talk that he's going to give. Kim Sage is going to join us to talk about dealing with grief and spiritual awakening. Irene Akeloise, we were on their podcast last night, actually, and she's going to do a live medium gallery reading. Our very own Priestess of Wonderland is going to be giving a class on using and connecting to your crystals. We're going to have a group dinner. Jenny's going to do a spirit channeling. So we got a lot of really cool, fun things to look forward to.
The Samants.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my Samants. And I will tell you, so guys, just a heads up, every time I've done it the past year, something crazy has happened. So just be prepared. Someone may get taken over. It's just like my friend, one of my students, Angela Artuso, she's a paranormal investigator. She's like, Sam, you really know how to throw a party. I'm like, because like, seriously, something happens, like someone's taken over. It's like all sorts of things. So just be prepared. The Samants is the real deal.
Yes.
Well, that was one of the first things we talked about when we were trying to put together this year's Team Weird, because last year we had it at Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park, and this year we wanted to find a little bit of a different location, and we thought to ourselves, look, last year we didn't have running water. We didn't have, you had to rough it a little bit. So this year, let's see if we can posh it up a little bit. And I happened to kind of come across this hotel. It was built in the 1920s, and it is like a French Renaissance architecture, coming back there. And so it's really kind of great. So when we were talking about this, like, okay, so like, who do we want to have? And you were one of the first people who came to our mind, and it's going to be perfect because we have this 1920s like spiritualism thing when this hotel is being built, like that age, and then to be able to go into the night in the investigation and start off with the Samans, I think is going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and also, like, I specialize in haunted hotels. Like, I'm about to head out to a haunted hotel. I work the overnight shift. So I love haunted hotels, and I love, like, historic, like, Art Deco. I've actually never been there, which is perfect because I love going in cold as a medium. And it could be my next favorite haunt, I love doing it. And I like traveling with Andy, like Andrew Warburton and I, when we travel together, we have so much fun. Like, I'm looking forward to going on an adventure with him. Like we're actually going to drive down to Baltimore, and I'm like, oh shoot. I don't know if you've been in a car with Andy, but originally he's British, so they drive on a different side of the road. Like there's there's like different things in the UK. He's a good driver, but I'm sitting there the whole time while we're driving, hoping that nothing will happen.
Bringing the drama to poor Andy's having to drive through to Baltimore.
I think that's what
we love Andrew, and we love both of you guys together. It's always a fun time.
And I think that's
so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
No, he's so much fun. And also I want to give him a plug, but Andy, I know him as Andy, but his readers know him as Andrew. Andrew was the researcher on my first 3 books. So he helped me do a lot of the initial research, and he's the reason why I'm here today. And so I want to always plug him, because we literally go that far back in our friendship, and to be able to reconnect with him later on, him as an author, is such an honor, and I'm so grateful.
Yay, Andy.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, and kind of one of the reasons we did Team Weird Takeover is not so much a con, but a chance for Team Weird to be able to get together with like-minded people we've had on the show and just have a fun weekend that's based around woo-woo and paranormal and just the feelings you get at a lot of Paracons as well. But I remember talking to you before, Sam, and you said you kind of like some of the smaller gatherings that we do, like your Haunted Travels weekend and stuff like that, where you really get to know the people that you're with, and it's not this huge thing. And so I think the real big, real fun part of this is if you come to Team Weird Takeover, there's a limited amount of tickets, and it's really just going to be all of us hanging out, and you get to participate in the seance, and you get to do all the things we're doing and investigate, all together as a big group. And it's just going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the smaller events. The bigger events, sort of like, I also like them because you meet so many people, and you can hopefully sell a lot of books. But the smaller events are the ones that you build the relationships with, and they become part of Spirit Squad, or they become a part of of my writing classes. So it's like the smaller ones is where you develop the bonds that are the reason why I'm in this. I do this for the community, and I do this because I love the community, and also too, like, just the you want, as a medium, you want other people to validate you and that support, because sometimes you feel very alone, and as a writer you feel alone. So like, just having that community of like-minded people just for a weekend, it's so refreshing, and it's so like, you can be yourself. And we all have our day jobs, or for me, it's my night job. I can't talk about, oh, there's a ghost in the elevator. It's like, you can't say that, but you can at these events. And I love that for that reason. Just the having to be able to be myself and not having to filter myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it kind of gives you like a recharge, like boosts your energy to be motivated and inspired to do what you want to do and what you need to do,
Yeah, I've been as someone that has 4 books potentially coming out this year, it's such an isolatory thing, like doing the research and writing the books is so isolatory, and you need people. And even just like the adventures that I had in the research phase with Andrew, going to these locations for my Lizzie Borden book, that just made such a huge difference. So as someone that kind of does an isolatory job, it's wonderful to have people around you and to support you.
Excellent. Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's what we have coming up. It's going to be June 27th and June 28th, Team Weird Takeover 2026. We have the schedule pretty much lined up, ready to go. It's going to be a great weekend, and we're going to have a real great time. If you want to get tickets, you can go to thewitchinghourspodcast.com. You can click on our store from the menu there, and I'll take you right to the page to be able to purchase your ticket. There are some left. There are a limited amount. There are some But I wouldn't wait too much longer. If you want to go, I would go ahead and wrap that up to make sure you got a spot to be able to get in there, and it will be coming up quick. So we're looking forward to it. I think everyone's getting excited now. So we're getting to that point where I was like, this is forever away. Why did we plan this so far out? Man, should we have, I remember like, did we start doing this too early? Should we have held off a little bit? But we're getting to the point now where it's right around the corner. So
man, Sam, where can people find tickets to Mass Paracon?
So I would go to massparacon.com. I'm hoping from this that people, we have one ticket. I have one ticket left for Belle Grove for this weekend. Yep. Mm-hmm. That you're inspired. If you're in the Virginia area and you want to be surrounded by like-minded people, this is for you. Just go to sambaltrusis.com and reach out to me through my contact me, because I would love to have you. If you're hearing this and you feel compelled to go, this is for you. But yeah, massparacon.com or sambaltrusis.com to be able to access tickets or just to contact me.
Where's the best place for people to find your books?
I would say, so Amazon always is sort of like a easy place. Barnes and Noble has a lot of my books. I'm a supporter of like local independent bookstores, but if you're not in New England, it's very hard. If you're in Salem, every like witch shop and bookstore in Salem, like Wicked Good Books, has my especially my Ghost of Salem book. But Amazon.com is sort of like the surefire place to buy my books. So I would say Amazon if you're outside of New England.
How many books have you written so far, not counting the ones that are coming out this year?
Yeah, so not counting, I think the total is like 19. Wow. And then with Castles is 20, Lizzie Borden is 21. I'm not even counting Haunted Travels, because even though I did write a large portion of Haunted Travels, I'm the curator of it. So there's other writers as well. So yeah, 21. Lizzie Borden is the book number 21.
What year was the first? The first one was Ghost of Salem.
No, my first one is Ghost of Boston, and that's the one
Ghost of
Andy.
Boston.
Yeah, so it was 2012.
2012. Wow.
I was a journalist, and Andy and I were like best friends at the time, and we're still our best friends.
Yeah.
But at the time, we were working for a magazine. I was editor of Scout magazine, which was in New England, and he was my copy editor. And so I had a book deal that turned into Ghost of Boston, and I was a tour guide in addition to being a magazine editor. So it just worked out. But my deadline was a month, so I had to literally write my first book. Yeah, and it was actually a month and a half. But I wouldn't have gotten it done without Andrew's support, because he would help me with the research, and I managed to write my first book in like less than 2 months.
Wow. We were actually, I don't think we ever told you this, but we were listening to the audiobook of that on the drive to Gettysburg.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and then we were in the chapter about the lady who owned the strip club.
Oh my God.
Well, and then she was there.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. So Wendy actually was I interviewed her in 2012. She now is one of my students. She was part of Spirit Squad. So I find it so full circle moment, like, and then the fact that you guys were like listening to the chapter on Wendy, who had her little ghosties, like, so they were literally like little ghosts that were like kind of like flying around her at her strip club. Well, she was an instructor, to give her credit. She taught that as like a form of exercise.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was great because we were hanging out, as always at these events, we're hanging out, having a blast. And I think we might have been even like out doing pizza or something like that, just having fun.
Yeah.
And me and Jenny just like, it hit us like,
it clicked.
That's her.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like sitting right next to her. I'm like, we were just listening to the chapter about
this
her
is awesome.
on the way here. And then she's got like the priest, purse or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, this is so much fun.
Yeah. What's so funny about that? So I actually drove back with her, and we went to Padre Pio. So she loves Padre Pio, and I love Padre Pio. So we literally went to the relics. There was the coat that he wore. I forget the name of it.
It's like a vestment or something.
The vestment. That's it. And so we actually drove to that, and it was the whole way we had spirits in the back seat with us. So Wendy has this attraction to, especially the male spirits. Like these are like these 3 guys in the back seat. I'm like, oh my God, who are these guys in our back seat, you know? So, and oh yeah, they're just my protectors. And I'm like, oh, okay. There's like 3 gentlemen in the back seat of the car with Wendy and myself heading to Padre Pio.
Yeah.
All right.
Wild times. All right. Well, we're out of time. Is there anything else that you want to plug before we go?
Yeah, I just Mass Paracon, I highly recommend it. If you haven't gone to one, this is the time to go. This may be the last Mass Paracon. I wanted to do one more. If I do in fact move, it would be hard for me to pull that off, from a different location. So this will likely be my last hurrah with Mass Paracon. So I hope you guys can make it. And then also would love to have you, if anyone's interested in Spirit Squad, again, go to sambaltrusis.com. I have several classes, including investigation coming up on June 1st. I have a class called Psychic Sweep coming up in September. And I have a writing class if you're interested in writing for Haunted Travels anthology. I have a class coming up in July for ghost writers. It's called Ghost Writers.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sam. It's always great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, guys. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Woo!
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I also want to give a thank you to everyone who stopped by and hung out with us tonight on The Witching Hours. CMC Air Boss, we resubbed tonight for 24 months.
Ooh, thanks,
and they've been subscribed for 27 months. Thank you so much, CMC. Thank you to everyone who tunes in every week. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to all the things we have coming up to be able to hang out and see everybody. And we'll go ahead and end it there. So for all of you who are listening, at another time and another place, we will see you all next time. And for everyone who's still hanging out with us over on Facebook and on Twitch, we are going to send some people off to go visit friends tonight to hang out. Let's see. Well, you know what? We have Ritual Cape Cod on. How about we go?
That sounds appropriate.
Yeah, and it seems like the appropriate person to go see tonight. So we're going to go raid Ritual Cape Cod.
All that New England talk.
Mm-hmm. Make sure I got it all in there right. All right, everybody. We will catch you all there this week. I think Thursday night for you this week, Jenny?
Thursday, yep.
All right, Thursday. So take care, everybody. We will see you all soon. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And I'm sure we'll catch some of you with Priestess of Wonderland on Tuesday.
Tomorrow,
so take care and have a great one.